I quit drinking 2 years ago. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made, and it completely changed my life. So today I want to talk to you about my relationship with drinking, why I quit drinking, the benefits I've seen in my life, the disadvantages, and what the future might hold for somebody who lives in New York City, which is a predominantly partying and drinking city. So I want to tell you my story. If you are new to this channel, hi, welcome. If you're not, this is obviously a deviation from what I usually talk about, but I wanted to make this video because I had mentioned it briefly in one of my videos that I had quit drinking and also smoking as well. I had a couple of people ask questions about how I was able to do that, and so I wanted to talk about it. It's a video that I've wanted to make. It's something I'm very proud that I've done, and maybe somebody sees this and it helps them on their journey. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just a girl who was a party girl, and I have since reformed my life. So let's talk about my history of drinking. What was I like before I decided to quit? Because I don't know YouTube's guidelines, I'm gonna talk about the time that it became legal in the United States for me to drink, which is 21. But rest assured, before I was of drinking age, I was a pretty good kid. There was definitely some transgressions here and there, but I was pretty good. Really nothing to, worrisome in my behavior. I was a normal kid living in the country. Let's talk about from age 21, which is the legal drinking age. So at 21, I was gearing up to move to New York City. That was my dream. That was my goal. I wanted to do that. And I moved basically right after I turned 22. I'd saved up all this money. I was working like crazy. And at 22, I moved. I was like, this is it. This is my dream. It's all coming real. I found a random roommate off of Facebook. I do not suggest that if you don't feel comfortable doing that, but it ended up working out for me and I was fine. I didn't know anybody. I really didn't know anybody. There was a couple of stragglers. I'll never forget, I was on a phone call with a friend of a friend, somebody who was trying to kind of set me up with connections in New York City, and I was talking to this guy who was trying to impart this knowledge on me, and he was incredibly kind, so nice. But I'll never forget, he said, do not get distracted by the party atmosphere of New York City. You will waste so much time. And I just remember thinking, what is he talking about? What is he talking about? There's no way I'm gonna waste my time. I would say I spent 4 years of my life partying hard. Do I regret it? To some degree, yes. Am I happy that I spent time going out and meeting people and socializing and feeding that social meter that I needed, that I craved in a city? That, you go and you don't know anybody, you have to make these connections. And unfortunately, that has a lot to do with drinking. We'll get into that later. I kind of just wish I had somebody make this video for me, somebody who's similar to me, somebody who wants to hang out with certain people, wants to get into certain places and do certain things. Wish I had somebody say, you don't need to drink. You, as a standalone individual, you are totally fine. You do not need that social lubricant. I went. And when I drink, I am so energetic. It doesn't put me to sleep. I go into another dimension of energy. So just more and 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 more would happen. And if I was to go through my phone, I can assure you I can find videos from 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 1 a.m., 4 a.m. And this was common. This was totally common. And I would still go to work the next day. I would still make it happen because I was so determined to make it work. 4 years of that. And then a little bit of a little pause. I met my husband, my now husband, Oleg. And so that kind of changed my dynamic of drinking, where it was just a little bit more casual, just with friends, wasn't really going out or anything like that. And then COVID hit. And I got laid off from my job, which was fine. I was kind of pardoning myself a little bit anyway. What do you do when the whole world shut down? What did so many people do? You partied, you drank, you went absolutely insane. We took a little bit of time off, and then we gathered ourselves and we went on a 4-person road trip in a 2014 Hyundai Accent. It was tiny, it was cramped, it was a little sweaty, but we made it work. But every single night, you'd sit by the campfire and we would drink. Not to the point of getting absolutely blasted, but we would drink. And so it became a habit. 28 days, it becomes a habit. We were seeing all these amazing sights and we were just running on this adrenaline, so everything was fine. But you come back to New York City and you're depressed, you're sad, because you've spent this past 40 days basically seeing some of the world's most beautiful sights. And so you just start drinking again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And that is probably, I would say, the worst that my drinking got to. Hands down, the worst that it will probably ever be. So that is when I decided to stop, and it was difficult at first. So how did I quit drinking? Basically took it 1 month at a time. I think I did like a dry January because I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And then I'm sure it'll be fine after that. I'll just put a little boop in this whole period of time. I'll just boop, put a little blip, a little stop. I did that. And then February and all the subsequent months, I was an absolute animal again. I was compensating for lost time. So then in the summertime, I was like, I'll really challenge myself. I'll do 3 months. I went on vacation. I went down to Key West and I was sober, which that doesn't sound like two things that you put in the same sentence. So I allowed myself to drink again, thinking like, okay, 3 months, maybe I'll just do these temporary holds on this lifestyle. That didn't work because I would just fall right back into just going. You know, it felt like I had treated myself and then I was cured. So 2022, right before New Year's, I think a little bit after Christmas, I decided I was going to quit smoking and I was going to quit drinking. I was going to do it for a year and I was just going to see how it felt. I'm a really big challenge person. I love to challenge myself. And this felt like it was actually the hardest challenge. And I wanted to conquer it. I wanted to do it. I wanted to see how I felt. I did it. I did it. I did it 1 year. Now I've done it 2 years, going on to 2.5 years. And it truly is the best decision I've ever made for myself. I want to talk about why I quit. Obviously, I have that whole history that makes you understand why I quit. It makes sense. It was obviously very troubling on my life, but I also have a multitude of other reasons that I quit. My hangovers were so bad. They were horrific. Horrific. I would be basically bedridden for 4 days. I think I filmed a couple of videos when I was hungover and you can just see like, ugh. And that would take a lot for me to get out and do something because I was just so in pain. It was like my body rejected it. I also wanted to quit smoking. Smoking and drinking would go hand in hand. I mean, I was smoking sober as well, but I knew that drinking would exacerbate my wanting to smoke. My overall health was bad. I could see that I used to suffer from tinea versicolor, which creates these kind of red patches. It's an accumulation of yeast and it can be augmented through sugar and kind of like unhealthy lifestyles. And I would notice after I drank, they would just be angry on my body. So I quit because of that. Vanity reasons. I was noticing that my skin was so bad. Like I was dull. I was dull. My hair was dull. I just felt like I looked like somebody had dragged me out and kind of left me there. I also have addiction very close by, and this is something that I don't want to talk about too much because I feel like it's such a slippery slope and there's so many versions of addiction, and it's really just such it's a disease. And I have addiction close by. And I've tried to talk to some of the people that are suffering with it, and it's very hard to have those conversations meaningfully when you're right there kind of enabling the person. So I wanted to stop because of that. Those were like my main catalysts. Those were the things that really made me want to push forward and to continue on with not drinking. Still to this day, it's like every day I find a new reason. It's just like, oh my God, I feel amazing. I feel amazing. I feel amazing. And there have been benefits. Health obviously has been great since it. That's just kind of a no-brainer. You understand you're not pouring, it doesn't feel like you're pouring gasoline into your body anymore. My running is amazing. I'm a runner. I love running. And I would run, oh my God, I would run, then I would have a cigarette after, and then I would go and drink after. I would run every single night for a summer, I would run every single night, I'd have a cigarette, and then I would go to the bar after. What? I don't even know who that person is anymore. My running now is so great. I find that my respiratory abilities are so good now. I also find that I'm able to just sustain running for so much longer. My body is just basically going off of water and coffee in the morning. That's it. Those are basically the only liquids that I put in my body. My skin, I feel like it bounced back for a little while. I had really, really deep lines, which I'm sure were contributed to smoking, but also drinking alcohol. I'm not putting enough water into my body, I'm sure, when I'm just turning to alcohol. My skin feels great, radiant, you know. My concentration has spiked. I feel like I was using drinking as a way to kind of distract myself. When I was hungover, I didn't have to do anything for the day. I was hungover. Everybody understands that. Oh my God, you're fine, you're hungover. You don't have to do anything. And I feel like I wasn't taking myself seriously. I needed to do that. I needed to just sit and be alone with myself for a little while. One of the biggest ones, I would say, and this is something I didn't realize would be a side effect of not drinking, is no bloating. I'm not bloated. If you look at old pictures of me from that time period, granted I was younger and your face kind of hollows out a little bit, but my face was so much more bloated looking. My face is naturally more kind of oval shaped. I don't have like a rounder face, but I noticed when I was drinking, it was just all of this, I guess, water weight onto my face, and I don't bloat anymore at all. My stomach doesn't bloat. Occasionally I'll get like bloating here and here, but that's just from eating a lot of pasta, okay? I love it. I'll never quit. That I won't quit, okay? And the last like major benefit that I've noticed in my life is my relationships with people. When I go and meet people now at a social gathering, which I force myself to go out, I have a deeper connection with them. At least in the beginning, because then I can just kind of radically see how they've shifted from sober to just not sober at all. And then I feel a little bit silly when I engage in conversations with them, but I'm able to remember how I've conducted myself in front of people. And that was a huge reason. I was embarrassed by who I was when I was drinking, what I was talking about, what was I saying, you know? Anything goes with me. I'm very open, and I just found myself like waking up in the morning being like, what did I say? What did I say? What did I do? Was somebody filming that? But that leads me to kind of the disadvantages. Everybody talks about how great stopping drinking is for you, which is so true, but there are disadvantages, specifically in New York City, which is a party place, it's part of the discourse of living in New York City. You almost are kind of seen as strange if you're not drinking. There's a visible disconnect when you're talking to somebody and they have a drink in their hand and, you know, they're just trying to be nice and saying, oh, do you want a drink? Would you like a drink? And you say, oh, no, I actually don't drink. Thank you so much. You can see kind of this embarrassment within them to be holding a drink and talking to you. There's a multitude of things going through their head. They're like, oh my God, I hope I didn't, you know, enable somebody right now. I hope I'm not making them uncomfortable. They want to ask so many questions, but they don't want to feel rude. And there is that strange moment that you kind of have to assess how you are going to go about it. And usually I'm like, hey, no, listen, please, I'm totally fine. But every single time I'm somewhere, that conversation has to happen. And it's something I feel like people don't really talk about. They talk about, oh, it's so great to quit drinking. And I am a proponent of that, obviously. But there are these little hiccups. People immediately go to the worst. Also kind of piggybacking off of the positive relationships that I've established with some people, you also have a little bit of a different relationship with your friends who have maintained that lifestyle and want to just keep going. I'm old now, and by their standards, they're like, oh my God, she's like granola. You know, she's boring and a little annoying that she doesn't drink, that she doesn't hang out with us. And they're great friends. I'm not saying like I have any sort of issue with my friends. I have amazing friends. But you can tell like when the hours start to get ticking down and you're ready to go and they're still going, you know that their relationship is going to be a little bit different than your relationship with them. You know, the relationship that they're forming with these people that they're able to party with is going to be a little bit different than the relationship that you have with them, which is not necessarily a negative thing, but it's just an adjustment that you have to make. Also, get really tired at the function now. Really, really tired. Really tired. If something starts at 10, which it often does in New York City, there's no time limit on anything in New York City, I'm gonna be exhausted. There's a 98% chance I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go. If people are like, hey, we're meeting up for drinks like after this or something, I don't wanna go. I don't wanna go. I don't wanna go. I don't want to do it. Not because I'm going to be tempted. I'm past that stage of temptation right now. But I'm going to be so tired. Like I said before, alcohol was such a stimulant for me. It really just made me go. Oh my God. I would just say yes to anything. I was like, yes, 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 yes. I have so much energy. I'm so alive. Just, you know, running towards the future. I just can't be bothered. I just can't. I can't be bothered. I'm really sorry, but I just can't do it. Having all of this free time now, I have so much free time. That's another benefit I forgot to talk about. I have so much free time now. I have kind of replaced that drinking time frame with other sort of addictions. Like my phone is a big one. That's probably the biggest one, I would say. Yeah, that's probably the biggest one. There's that. Those are some of the things that I've noticed in my life. I'm sure after I finish filming this, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, why didn't you talk about the thing with the thing where it makes you feel like this and that? But right now, there's so many ways that my life has changed from stopping drinking. I really just, I don't know, like I said before, I wish I had somebody to just have a very honest conversation and not being like, and now I work out, and now I eat my greens, and I soak in a bath, and I do 30 marathons a year now. Like an honest, very chill conversation about what breaking that cycle was like for me. If you're interested, I can talk about how I quit smoking as well, but drinking, I would say, is probably one of the hardest ones just because of the social stigma. Being within groups of people who party a lot of people that I know are in nightlife, and this was definitely probably one of my proudest moments in my life so far is quitting drinking. That being said, what does my future look like? Am I gonna stop drinking forever? That's a question that I ask myself all the time. Right now, I can't see myself going back to drinking anytime soon. I've made the necessary adjustments that make it all fit within my life. I don't feel like I need to do that again. I feel like I'm not missing anything. I think that's the most important part to get to when you're trying to quit drinking. If you're constantly feeling like you are going to miss something, you're not ready to make that full plunge, which is fine and respectable. It's not an easy thing to do. I don't feel embarrassed if I do want to drink again. And I think that's a really important way to address this, is that I don't feel embarrassed by it, but I'm so proud of where I've come with not drinking, and I've seen so many benefits that I don't want to throw it all away, because I feel like that, again, is putting it into the category of like definitively like, no, it's the worst thing ever. But I think I've learned so much about myself through not drinking that I want to keep this pride within myself, and I'm very happy with who I am now. So that's my video. I hope that wasn't too long-winded. I hope that didn't bore you, but I just wanted to make this, and I wanted to talk about something that is very important to me. It is kind of like a startling thing to tell people that you don't drink because it's so commonplace. But yeah, that's my story. That's who I am and how I came to be, and I'm very happy with who I am now. So anyway, you guys are wonderful. You're fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the next one.